Welcome back to Settled on the Field, everybody. How's it going?
Whoop, whoop.
How are you, Jeb and Bill, today?
We're doing great. It's college football playoffs coming up. Big game for the Irish this weekend versus Army. So you kind of got to cheer for Army when they're 10-0. Shock the world.
I'm representing Army with a little Alejandro Villanueva jersey
Oh,
and the Steelers.
Steelers.
This is news to me, Bill. So you cheer for Army.
I just said I'm representing them. I didn't say I'd cheer for them. West Point did recruit young William Cooper, and the Navy Academy did not. So, hey, they got a little brains in their head somewhere.
And then Monday we will explore why you turned that down, but not today. So, okay, we are back and we're talking college football playoffs. We've only got a couple weeks left. 2 more weeks left of college football regular season. What's going on out there? Who's leading the pack right now?
Who's leading the pack? Well, hey, look, the rankings just came out. Oregon has been steady. They're coming strong. We're going to top 4 right now are Oregon, Texas, Miami. And if I say top 4, I'm talking about the playoff rankings, not the AP rankings, which are different. And you got Boise State, small school, slid into that slot.
Okay, so that's right. So remind me and remind our listeners how the playoff works. Because I was thinking, of course, 1 through 4 get a bye week. That seems to me like that would be normal. But I am wrong. So how does it work?
So the highest ranked 4 teams out of the Big 5 conferences will take the top 4. So that's why you've got Oregon, Texas, Miami, and Boise State. And then the 5th conference, BYU is representing, but they just lost, so they slid down, and they're right now number 12. They could technically not get in and get bumped out by SMU or something, or somebody else. But so the top 4 ranked teams of the Big 5 conferences, and you have to imagine that they set this up so the conferences would agree that, okay, yes, we'll do this.
Yeah, we each get a team with a bye.
People are going to get hosed because you're going to have like a AP ranked 17 team in that number 5 slot get in at 12 like BYU is right now, and Tennessee's not even, they're on the outside looking in.
Will they make it so conference teams don't play each other in that first round possibly? Would that be an adjustment that they would make?
That's a good question. Well, if you look at them right now, it doesn't look like any of the conferences are playing each other. I don't know if they take that into consideration or not, but it would be interesting to see Indiana go to Ohio State, knock them off, get bumped up, have a bye, and then see Ohio State come back and play them again, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Could happen, I guess. But it would, yeah, that'd be interesting. Like a couple rematches will be out there, especially if you had a great game like Oregon versus Ohio. That would be a great. Oregon only won by 1 point. Ohio's going to have it in their blood to come back for them.
Yeah, and
Which could happen, of course, that could obviously happen in the Big Ten championship. So
the Big Ten or the SEC is most likely for that to happen. But I mean, it's TBD. There's a lot of games to be played, even though it's 2 weeks.
This is crazy because college football is going to go almost all the way to the end of January. Wow.
Yeah.
That is like a major change. That's just, I didn't really think that it was going to go that one.
And the pre-Christmas will be meaningful. So like all those old bowl games that, you'd have to get in a pool to care about, now all of a sudden are meaningful.
Did you say you have to get in a pool to care about? Like you're watching from a pool, like you're in Vegas at a poolside bar?
Well, we could totally do that. I would be down for that.
A bowl pick'em pool.
I got you. A bowl pick'em. I know you're going to send that out. Yeah, but just roughly speaking, the first one's December 20th, and then it lasts until January 20th. So that's...
Actually, now that you say this, is this going to become like the basketball? They're all the betting to be had.
Ooh, there's going to be some betting to be had for sure. I've yet to see anyone reach out and say I've got a bracket challenge or anything like that, but it'll be on ESPN and CBS Sports and all that.
Jeb, when you called IU to win the whole thing a few months ago, you should have went out there and put the money on IU about back in May. You'd be rolling in it.
I did not.
I think he did. Well, he definitely said they were going to make the playoffs, didn't you?
I'm pretty sure we got footage of him once
There's
Coach
footage of it.
Signetti said, "I win," and Jeb's like, "They're going to win the national
I'm
championship."
gonna look at our old episodes and I'm gonna find that footage. I
And
think
how about the Big Ten? I mean, you got Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, IU, 4 of them, and basically in the top 6 right now.
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And those teams, the only teams that play each other are IU and Ohio State, and I just feel like they're both going to be in no matter what, unless Ohio State loses to IU and Michigan, which I don't think is going to happen. But
I'm sorry. You're saying they only play coming up. Is that what you mean?
correct.
Okay, sorry.
They do have to play each other, but they're ranked so high that I don't think they're going to fall all the way out
No, yeah, they won't.
with
They
a
probably
loss.
I
mean,
won't.
IU is
And
undefeated. IU is undefeated.
Stays.
What's that?
1 loss IU stays.
100%.
Yeah, I think they.
So listen,
You don't
Jeb.
think so?
IU is 10-0. They go to Ohio State and lose, even if they get beat by 21. You're
And Ohio's
10-1.
going to IU, by the way.
Huh?
Really
Go ahead. Wait a minute. Boiler up fans. Let's not forget that IU has to host these Boilers coming at the home
The
after Ohio State.
makers are coming for you.
Spoilers. But wait, let me finish my thought. If Ohio State goes and loses to IU goes to Ohio State and loses, compare that to Notre Dame's loss against Northern Illinois, who has lost to Ball State. I'm sorry, but that's a better loss, and they took that in consider. The committee's already shown they've taken that in consideration by moving BYU so low because they lost to SMU, who was like 4-6 or something.
Hey,
9-2, my bad.
This is all going to change next weekend, man.
Yeah.
Because
All
you're going to
gonna
change.
change.
11.
That's right. We're talking about it just for the format.
Yeah.
And we'll update when we get the real deal here in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Just to be clear, this is not final, but I mean, probably a lot of these teams are probably sticking around, I'd say.
So just to clarify, the number 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed, and 8 seed get a home game. And they'll play 5 plays 12, 6 plays 11, 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9, right? Home site. How do the tickets work for that?
You better be on the online on your computer ready to click.
They probably go for, they go on sale like the day they announce the final.
I did a little research for you.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
The home team can handle the ticket sales however they want, but typically they'll give the season ticket holders first dibs.
Sure.
So I saw on the Georgia website, like Georgia season ticket holders, if you have 4 season tickets, you got the right to those 4 tickets. If you take them, you get them. If you let them go, then they have another system in place. So the visiting team is allotted 3,500 tickets with a maximum of another 500 for the band. So up to 4,000.
It?
Hold on. This is Georgia specifically or what they're recommending for everybody?
This is for everybody. But Georgia, that's how Georgia's handling their home ticket sales.
4,000 and you can seat like 70,000.
So the visiting team gets 3,500 plus 500 for the band. And then they cannot be split up into more than 2 blocks. And 1,500 of them have to be in the lower bowl.
Let me show you something. I got a Hello Kitty wallet, and this is how stuff really works. Is that, season ticker Notre Dame guy is going to have these tickets, and then he's going to sell them to Bama guy who's going to pay $5,000 for them. So you're going to have the red jersey sitting on the 10-yard line at 10 rows up. So
doesn't Army's home stadium only seat like 8,000 people?
You mean their home? I don't know, but where would they play if they get in is a better question. They'd probably have to play. I bet they would play at like the New Jersey Jets stadium.
No.
Yes.
No. You got to come to the Michie Stadium.
The home of Brendan Mullen.
I mean, the facts are, you just basically gave me the idea. Let's go in and buy some tickets and resell them.
Let's buy some Army football season tickets right now.
Army is the most interesting team left. They have, do you know who they have to play? Notre Dame, ranked whatever, top in 8. Tulane, who's like, I'm sorry, I'm going to just guess, 8-2 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
They have to play them in the championship game, and they have to play Navy. It's insane.
Who's 8-2?
If they win all of those games, they're going to skyrocket in. There's no way they can't.
Yeah. 38,000 people at their stadium.
That's the hottest ticket in the country right now.
That would be the coolest football game ever. 4 possessions in the whole game.
You're jumping to my question at the end of the day here, but I might have to just go to it. Which one are you, with the current set of games, which one would you be most hyped for the opening round? At Ohio State, BYU coming in. I feel like that's kind of lame. I think BYU gets trounced. At Penn State with Georgia coming to town, defending champs. Solid team, having a weak year, but Penn State, Georgia, the most two classic unis you can imagine. That might be the one. Except I live in Indiana, so Ole Miss at IU, those B-Town boys would be hype.
That would be a fun game, and I think we should go to it.
Well, we gotta wait. We gotta wait.
Bar. We could go to the bar. We don't gotta go in.
And don't forget, Bama at Notre Dame, the most traditional school in the lineup here.
I think if I had to choose, I'll be going to that one. Bama Notre Dame. That would be fun.
I think IU Ole Miss.
I would say Notre Dame Bama, except for the fact that even though Cignetti just signed like an 8-year contract, that this might be their last time that they're hosting a home game, and so that would be the time to go. Just on percentages. Not saying they're not going to be good.
I guess I would say we're in a good place. You know what I mean? To be in Indiana and having all this great football happening is kind of amazing.
That's right. So unless you're a Colts fan.
Or a Purdue fan.
Hey, let's talk about Purdue real quick, shortly. They've got the most difficult schedule in the history of college football.
Ever.
They have played number 1 Oregon. Do I need to continue? Because we know the list. Ohio State.
Penn State.
They're going to still play IU, Penn State, Notre Dame. No one else in the history of college football has played top 5 teams.
I keep asking, like, who made this schedule? And were you trying to torture them? Because, like, you knew how good you were at the time he made this schedule, and they weren't that great. And all of these teams were very good even then. Like, when did they make the schedule? 5 years ago?
No, they're years out, but then the Big Ten expanded, and then that threw everything into a loop.
They added Oregon.
What it's really interesting, though, is because you hear the only argument you hear against IU is their schedule. And it's like they had the same opportunity to be playing some awesome new team that you added to the Big Ten. It just wasn't Oregon. It could have been, Nebraska could have been the best team in the Big Ten randomly, or whoever else they played. I don't know.
Washington was in the national championship last year. This year,
exactly. Good call.
Okay, so we know how it works. When are all these games happening? We know that it's going almost to the end of January, but let's look at when are the games actually occurring. So the first round is going to be December 20th and 21st. That's a weekend, I assume.
Let me bring out my paper calendar that I got made fun of for having still and not using my phone only. I use both.
Makes fun of it?
The digital associate experience person at Krista's Health made fun of me for having one of these. This is how I keep track of my life.
Me too. Okay. I have to write it down. Is it a Kruper thing? Dad, do you have a paper calendar?
I don't. Yep. I do, but I don't.
I mean,
gotta write some things down.
We've talked about this a lot, to be honest. We've talked about this
multiple
times, but I do love my paper calendar. And actually, I gotta say, mine ends in December. So if you're looking for a Christmas present for me, this was a 18-month calendar.
Nice.
I like an 18-monther.
I go like 13. It's strong. I just print it right off. Time and date.
Oh, you print it.
The calendar on the wall where we keep notes still has March.
Yeah.
Still has March.
I have a whiteboard one, and that one's way old.
All right, well, hey, look. First round, these home games at college campuses, not at a bowl game. December 20th and 21st. That's a Friday and a Saturday. Guess what else this Friday and Saturday is when everybody will be going on holiday break for the schools. So if you're in it, guess where you're not going? You're not going home until the game is done. Friday or Saturday, 20th and 21st. And
That's
then
actually is a good question. I'm sorry to interrupt. So all these kids that keep winning, like, see ya, mom, and if you keep going, you're not coming home for Christmas at all.
oh, you're not coming home. And guess what else? The next round is back-to-back days again, the quarterfinals, December 31st and 1st. So they've re-established the flag of this is a New Year's situation. They're taking the New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. I don't know what
Perfect.
times they are, but fantastic in my opinion. That's also a week and a half later. So it's not just like 5 days, 7 days later. If you win on the 20th, you might have until the 1st. Can't complain about that. Nobody can complain. Everyone's been 6 days, 7 days. I'll just keep going since y'all are
Yep,
just
keep it
allowing
going,
me to
keep
do
it
this.
going.
The next round, semifinals. Now we're still in the bowl games with Orange Bowl, Cotton Bowl, 9th and 10th. A Thursday, Friday. Ooh, little Thursday night football.
Little Thursday.
Yeah, and by that time, the NFL will be not playing Thursday night football, so we'll still have something to watch. Thursday,
That's good.
Friday, 9th and 10th. And then whoever those winners are, they got 10 more days. Weekend off, 10 days, and they play on the 20th, a Monday. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Inauguration Day, 20th, College Football Championship.
Yeah,
Better
that's
get
a big day.
that PTO in for the 20th.
Put that PTO in for the
Put a big X on that day right now.
in Atlanta. Okay. Well, I can't. That's just. I don't. Again, I'm still like blown away a little bit that it's going that deep into January, and then we'll be up to the Super Bowl. Only be like 3 weeks later. So, football.
Yeah,
Can't complain.
that might be the weekend the pro playoffs start. Maybe the weekend before.
Maybe
Yeah,
so.
it's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
right around there.
Yeah.
Maybe the weekend before.
Nice.
So, okay, I'm ready. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty excited for it all.
We also
Especially because there are some, smaller schools being represented, which is nice. Like this, here's your chance.
Here's your chance. Come play with the big boys.
we also have a lot to still be decided. So it's,
Correct.
Right. Yeah, so much. Yeah, there's down to the wire now.
I
So-
mean, I always like the team that gets left out. Like I feel bad for them, but it's
The
also
last
the
team,
best.
the
Like,
number 13.
yeah,
Yeah.
too bad.
Tennessee or Notre Dame if they lose to USC.
Right. Like it used to be number 5 was always crying. We should be in.
Yeah.
We should be in. Well,
We
now
should be in.
13 is crying. Dude, you're 13. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're 13. You can't be that
unlucky
mean.
13, I guess.
Yeah, that's too bad. So, Notre Dame has to play Army this week, right?
Yep.
Right.
And
That's
to
going to be a tough
USC.
one. And what happened last week, Jeb? What something crazy?
Ooh, they ran a fake punt to the house and it got called back.
So
little legal
Let's-
formation, it sounded like. So Notre Dame was in a punt formation, and when you're in a punt formation, you can have the numbering, the offensive linemen's numbering rules are kind of out the window. You don't have to have 5 guys 50 through 79. So Notre Dame had, 46 and 13 on the line because they're on the punt team.
Special teams guys from both
Special
sides of the
teams guys.
ball.
Yeah. And so then the fake punt Notre Dame ran was basically like a Statue of Liberty. So the up man, the lineman stayed tall, and the up man snuck up behind the center and got the direct snap from a few yards, like a yard back. And then he handed it to a guy that was hiding behind the lineman. And the up man and another guy started running to the right. He had given the ball. That guy went left all the way to the house. And they threw a flag, and there's massive discussion about it. And it turned out because Notre Dame was no longer in a legal scrimmage kick formation, because they were no longer 10 yards from the ball for the
Because he
punt.
went under center, right?
Basically, he came up to near center within 10 yards. So now your numbering on your offensive line has to be legit again. And I mean, dude,
that is so complicated. What that was going deep in the rule book right there.
it was. And Marcus Freeman was going crazy, and like they go over this kind of stuff before the game. They tell them they got this fake punt. This is what we're going to do. but Notre Dame obviously didn't know the rule that you moved up like that. You had to keep the lineman numbers eligible or ineligible, basically 50 to 79.
That is pretty crazy that the number, it's not the position, it's the number.
It's not what they did, it's the number. But I'd be interested if you could ask the special teams coach, not if he knew the rules specifically, but if they changed anybody on the line,
like at the last minute,
like that day, like
an injury,
78's hurt, Kruper, get in there, you're number 39, and then all of a sudden now it's a problem. Your second string dude, you don't think of the numbers, definitely, no way.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what number their long snapper is. Even that kind of guy can typically be a tight end type.
That is pretty wild that it's all to the number.
Imagine if that play happened in the national championship game at in the third quarter and it mattered. Like that rule would be so scrutinized. I mean, it is the rule, and you can't be mad at the refs for calling the rule.
Yeah.
That's why I like to say you got to hate the rule, don't hate the ref. Some of the rules are awful. They're just unnecessary.
That is a very crazy. And Statue of Liberty, freaking my favorite play. And it worked, and then it goes out the window. I say it's my favorite play because our dad talks about Statue of Liberty all the time.
You're gonna run the statue.
And I'm like, I need to see the Statue of Liberty. And I'll be at a high school game and I'm yelling, Statue of Liberty! Because I want him to do it.
I like the hook and ladder. If it works, like the running back swinging out the backfield, hook and ladder works all day.
Remember when Boise State, talking about college football playoffs, they ran multiple trick plays, but against Oklahoma and the Orange Bowl, they ran Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it.
That's awesome. Well, that's the rule of the day.
That was the rule of the day. So make sure you know your numbers. That's
interesting.
Wild.
I mean,
and here's a question, because I'm sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If you say you did have that situation and there's an injury and okay, I've got to swap this guy out, you can't make him wear a different jersey all of a sudden, right? So you're screwed.
Oh.
So I think you can. You just got to report that they changed numbers.
Oh, really?
Yep, and then they got to announce it to the other team.
That might be giving away what you're going to do.
That kind of gives it away. Oh, what? Yeah, that kind of stinks. Yeah, I would question the number thing, but like we were talking about, it must have something to do with the refs. Not that they choose it, but that for them to keep an eye on certain areas of the place and knowing where to look. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Well, it's for ineligible receivers downfield. So you can tell when a lineman's downfield versus a tight end. So it's just the numbering thing for that.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's the rule of the day. Well, so I wonder if we'll see that ever happen again. It's another one of those, you may never see this happen again, but now you know. What rule number is that? Do you know?
He might have it right there.
Now you're digging.
Jeb, we ran a similar play in 1994 against Michigan City Elston. They snapped it to the up back, which was me. I faked it to whoever was the left wing that came across, and then myself and Brendan Mullen ran the option to the left, and I got drilled at about before we could get to the line of scrimmage. It didn't quite work, and he was well covered.
You know what? I believe in that same game, I threw for a 2-point conversion.
There you go.
As the holder.
Exactly. Nice. We were ready to pull out all stops that game.
And then
special team.
One of the reasons I officiate is because we had the ball on the 7-yard line at the end of the game, and it was third down, and we ran Shannon Clark up the middle, and he got the first down, and they moved it back like a yard and a half. Said he was down. So we went for it on fourth down, and same thing, and they marked it short and measured, and we didn't get it. Next play, like a minute left in the game, they threw a pop pass to the tight end. He goes 95 yards to beat us. And I had bet the guy, Tom Cassidy, in econ. He was like our junior achievement guy. He said he'd bring everybody donuts if we won, and if we lost, I had to shave my head. And so Shannon Turk, was that her name?
Yeah.
Shaved my head in econ the next Friday morning.
In econ.
Who was the teacher?
Mr.
Hi, Shannon
Hewitt,
Turk.
which is the same classroom that Rudy was filmed in.
Oh yeah, right up the steps in the corner.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Rudy was filmed there. I had my head shaved there.
All kinds of classic moments happening at John Adams High School.
Liz, why don't you take us to Beyond the Bench?
Well, we're at the end for a lot of teams. We're coming to the end of their season. So if you're not going to make it, if you're not in that top 12, your season is coming to an end. And a lot of players out there might be asking themselves, should I join the transfer portal?
Should I?
And I don't have an answer for you. I can tell you that, but I can tell you some of the rules. So first off, if your coach gets fired, or I think even if he just leaves, takes a different job, you can immediately enter the transfer portal. You get a 30-day window as soon as the coach is sayonara. But for the rest of it, the transfer portal opens on December 9th, and it is open until the 28th. And then if you're still not sure, there is a second time where you can enter the transfer portal in April 16th through the 25th. There's going to be some big decisions. There's going to be a lot of movement going on out there. I will say this, be very confident in your decision, because in 2018, I think it was like 1,500 people entered the transfer portal. Last year, almost 3,000 people entered the transfer portal, and that's in FBS only. So they did say only about 30% of people
get picked up.
So I did find out that you can enter the transfer portal and then like withdraw your name and stay at your current school. However, the school then has the ability to be like, well, you entered the transfer portal and we don't really want you back. So be very careful if you decide to make that decision. It should not be entered lightly, because if only 30% of the people that enter the transfer portal are getting picked up by another team, it's not a great number.
Top 30%.
One of the things I've learned in officiating is to kind of let the play happen. So like you get a play where the guy drives the lane, if you can hold your whistle a little bit longer and make sure you know what you have, you let it play out. You can still blow your whistle for the foul. It might be a split second later, but you just let it play out. So my advice to anybody would be to let it play out. You got 30 days, man. The day the coach goes doesn't mean you need to go, right? Like, don't rush to it.
They might hire Coach Signetti the next day.
Right.
And your whole team just changed.
Exactly. You can use it to your advantage to, keep your cards close to your chest and just, let's see what happens, who they get. There's like just immediately leaving, you've lost all opportunity for that, so don't ever shut the door until you're ready.
That is a very good point. And I would even say, for those of you who are like, oh, I'm thinking about it, but I'm just really not confident, maybe waiting till April is a very good decision, because at that point, you're going to know a lot of the high school, people that are already coming from the transfer portal. Some of the high school kids that are committing, and you're going to have gone through spring ball.
Yeah, you know where you're at on the depth chart.
You know where you're at. So to me, if I'm in that position, I'm probably waiting. But another reason to enter, let's not overlook academics here. You might be going to a school that is not a fit. That is a reason to enter the transfer portal. So if you are at a school and they just like, wow, I really thought I wanted to major in engineering, but turns out I'm not smart enough. Turns out it's just not for me. I want to become a broadcaster. I'm going to go ahead and change schools. So that is another reason, if that is the case, or the school itself is just not a fit, you don't feel at home there, those are reasons, of course, as well, to enter the transfer portal. But like Jeb was saying, I would definitely, if it's all coming down to like, oh, I don't have enough playing time, or, things of that nature, maybe your coach, you don't know. A lot changes with coaching as well.
Liz, do you happen to know how many times they're able to do this now? Like, once we get this COVID year behind us, I can transfer once and then I can transfer again as a graduate, or is it more than that?
They can transfer every year if they wanted to. And there's no sitting out a year anymore either. So you can transfer. There are some rules. You have to have at least a 2.0. You have to be moving through, like you have to be getting credits. I guess if you're a sophomore, you have to be like 40% done with your schooling. If you're a junior, you have to be like 70%. I don't know the exact percentages. So you have to be progressing through your studies. You can't just kind of be like taking willy-nilly classes like, oh, I'm going to take pottery and guitar lessons and stuff. You have to actually be moving through and getting some kind of a degree.
Swimnastics.
Yeah,
Definitely take swimnastics.
And you have to have at least a 2.0, but you can transfer as many times as you want, technically. I mean, and of course, you can't go to 2 schools in 1 year. So you could transfer every year if you wanted to. And then as long as you have at least your 5th year of eligibility available, you can transfer as a transfer or a graduate student as well.
I feel like the most success has been with the graduate student 5th year person, especially at the quarterback level. But
yeah, we see that at IU.
Like why you would transfer after 1 semester, I mean, I don't know. It seems kind of ridiculous. Like you gotta, like Jeb said, take it slow is smooth is fast. Consider your options. Hopefully you went to a school in the first place where you thought of the academics and that you might want to do the spring courses to be like, okay, yeah, this is good or not. What if you you're a freshman, you went to played football in the fall, stayed through the spring, thought, man, I'm just not going to play for this team, but I'm going to transfer at the next fall window and didn't play. Like you save that eligibility.
You could do that. You'd save the eligibility. I don't know how
or if you're not on the team, are you not?
If you're not on the team, then you're not on scholarship, so you don't have to really enter the portal. I don't know. Then
but
you
can you enter
get
the
out
portal
there
more like
and get recruited somehow?
A lot of questions too.
Who's the best freshman in America right now? Do we know?
True freshman, red shirt, playing
in one of the top teams.
No clue.
No clue.
Do you know?
We're gonna claim his name is Smith.
Isaiah Needham.
No, Tim Smith. Tim Smith is the starting DB at let's say he's at Texas and they win the national championship. Tim Smith transfers to Tennessee and they win the championship. Then his junior year, he transfers to Georgia. They win the championship. Senior year, he transfers to IU and they win the championship. That would be awesome.
That would be domination right there. That would
4
be
different teams. Like
what a
if
goal.
you're a quarterback and you just dominated and you could go just keep transferring.
Can you imagine? That would be like you're thinking it's the coach making a difference, but really it's this quarterback that we got, and now he just.
I'd say only a quarterback could do that for sure.
His NIL deal as a junior at the 3rd school.
He might change the rules and they might be like, well, you can just play forever.
Yeah, we didn't even mention NIL until then.
Yeah.
Caleb Williams almost did what you said. I mean, not really, but almost. Like,
yeah,
Oklahoma and USC, they were pretty good, both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. So the transfer portal is a big question mark. We're still learning all about it, and we're still learning about some of the changes that may or may not come. So we will update you on those whenever those actually happen. But what do you think? I'm going to hand it to you about Walk-On Warriors, and let's talk about how has the transfer portal affected some of these schools.
For the Walk-On Warriors segment, I mean, I'm wearing this Alejandro Villanueva representing the West Point. I'm not pulling for them necessarily over Notre Dame or for Navy, but I'm pulling for the small guy. We've got Boise State in the 4 slot right now. We've had Army and Navy battling all year long. If Army beats Notre Dame and Navy, they're in the playoffs. It would be insane. What I'm claiming I think we're going to see is with all this NIL and transferring is that even you can ask any of the big-time coaches, it's hard to have a team. It's hard to keep them together. It's hard to know who your second string is. It's hard to know, who to keep, all those things. I think teams like, Navy and Army are benefiting from being together for 4 years, being together for 3 years. And some of the smaller schools with less transferability happening going on, maybe that plays out well for them. Maybe it plays out well for Boise State. Maybe Ball State someday. IU, how many transfers did the coach bring with him? 13 or 15?
13, I think.
Yeah.
So that's
so
a
that's
different.
kind of keeping a team.
But that's
That's
different because they were a team. They
a
were
solid core, and they know what the coach's motto and the methods there are. So quickly they surrounded him, and you see that that's benefiting them. I don't know that you can say NIL and transfer portals affecting Army or Navy, but it's not affecting them. Might be the better way to say it. I just
Well,
hope
they
we
will be a
see.
good kind of case study
It'll be a good case study.
because again, we talked about they certainly can't transfer as easy as somebody else, like because they are.
It's happened before. It's onesie twosie, and it's dependent on certain situation. But they
Right.
do sign contracts, and they're getting paid on top of their scholarship.
So I think that it's a lot harder for sure. Yeah, like you said, there's probably some situations where they
One quick thing, Jeb. What I would love to see though is Boise State have a home game. That would have been hype. So hopefully, if they happen to fall to 5 somehow, I think that'd still be pretty cool.
On the blue turf.
Yeah.
that would be nice.
So
just
I think I already asked the question about which first round game would you go to, but what
Well, hold
question
on.
do you have?
hold on. On top of what you're saying about the team aspect, I think that's something a little foreshadowing that I think building a team and how do you keep your team together and what can you do to keep growing your team is something that, stick with us and you're going to learn.
That's right. Stick with us. We got plans coming your way, but think about that from a coach's angle. You got what's the new number, Liz, for next year? 105?
Yeah, 105.
Goes from 125 to 105, whatever. You got 105. And they might be different come the spring because some guys left. And then you may have recruited a couple kids in the spring before, and then you got recruits that come in the summer. And come fall, you've got a different, 33 dudes. It's a whole different team from January until August, and you got to build them up. You got to take care of all these situations that none of us have had to deal with before. NIL money, what do I do? Taxes with that NIL money, what do I do? I'm considering transferring or changing my major and all the normal things you have to do.
And then also
Crazy.
just the I mean, this has always been happening, but the craziness that just happened with kids that are 18 to 22 years old. Like what were we doing when we were 18 to 22 years old? Stupid shit. That hasn't changed. So as a coach, you still have to be out there like disciplining them and kicking people off the team and
Yeah.
A lot of that happens.
Dealing with social media, dealing with emotions. You got whooped by Ohio State, and now you got to deal with it, and everyone's clowning on you on whatever, Instagram or X, and you got to be like, look, cornerback, you got toasted, but you're fine. And then the kid's having a rough week. It's crazy.
Yeah, the kids, and they see that. So that's, before, back in the day, they were maybe getting, squawked at on the local, on the news and on the sports talk shows. Now they're seeing it everywhere they go. Kick this kid off the team, pull him out of the game, fire that coach.
He sucks.
Everywhere you look.
All right, what's the question?
The question was, what first round game do you want to go to? But now I think we talked about that one. Is who do you think will be in the championship game and or win? Not knowing what the bracket's going to look like.
I'll go.
You sticking with IU?
He's like, I never said that.
I want to, but I can't. I don't think they can do it. I mean, it'd be awesome. That's who I'm cheering for. Them and Notre Dame and Army. Those are my three. One of those three. But I'm kind of, from what I've watched, I think, oh man, I hate it. No, it's not going to be Alabama. I think Georgia's really, really good. And they got a couple losses, and that'll flip everything on its side. So I think it's going to be Georgia versus Oregon.
Okay, let's write this down.
And I think Georgia's going to beat them. And
all right, Liz, you're up.
All right, I am going to say Texas and Oregon.
Texas, Oregon. With Texas, are we going to see a Manning at quarterback, or are we going to see a dual-headed monster? We're going to see someone get hurt. Like that's down the stretch. That could be the strong play, having two guys.
Yeah.
But you got Oregon, eh?
Oregon looks, man, they're fast. They're fast.
Oregon's got weapons and they're fast.
Yeah.
Their first game will be in a big bowl game. Anyway, so I guess it's my turn.
They're going to get a bye for sure.
They'll have a bye, even if
And
they lose the Big Ten championship. I
I
think
don't know. I mean,
they'll still be up there.
I would like to pick like an underdog though, but
I'm
I
gonna go with the
I
Homer
like-
pick. Homer pick. I think we're gonna see. I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna go Notre Dame or IU.
I want to.
I think we're gonna see Bama, especially if the lineup right now they'll come into Notre Dame and beat him. I think with Milroe, the dude's gonna be really tough to stop in a playoff scenario, and I think that they're gonna play Texas. The SEC has been getting the look at the Big Ten. There's 5 teams, and at the end of the day, we're gonna be like, oh man, it's the same
Same
thing
old.
we're looking at. Bama, Texas. I'm going Texas.
I'm
Georgia.
going Texas also.
So we all picked the SEC.
That's rough, but hey, what do you want me to do? Say Boise State's going to beat IU in the championship? That might happen too.
That would be entertaining. We would be all so hype. That would be awesome. But all right, well, you heard it here first. Settle down the field. Don't talk about it. Be about it.
Keep dominating.